The following video is extracted out of a longer form course that I used to sell. I wanted to give it out for free now. So the challenge for you is to watch this video completely start to finish, because chances are if you clicked on this video, you probably struggle to work, you probably struggle to focus, and just as one challenge to you, watch this video in its entirety, start to finish. You can put it on 1.5x or 2x speed, I don't care. Your challenge is to watch the whole video through. Now I want to clarify that the audio sounds a little bit I've AI upscaled and enhanced the audio so you can sound it, put the captions on, but your challenge is watch the whole video start to finish. You're going to enjoy it. There's a lot of very good value in there.
Hey everyone, this is part 8 of the bonus Pod App Academy. So, congratulations for getting access to this. I want to lower myself here. Hello. Okay, let's get started. This particular topic, talking about lifestyle, what kind of lifestyle do we have to live? What are my recommendations for, being as effective as possible in your future successes? So, introductory, we've already established, okay, this is the mindset and lifestyle required for success in any domain. So, obviously this is a course on podcasting, but the thing is, every single thing that I'm going to be teaching here is just going to improve your life, but in almost every single way in every single domain. This is really not any kind of specific advice. It's just good baselines that everybody should be living by if they want an effective body and mind, an effective business journey, essentially. So point, these are the absolute highest ROI. So, you might have heard of the Pareto principle, the 80-20, where, you have a little input result in a large output. So, essentially these are the techniques with the highest leverage, the techniques that require the least amount of effort from you and result in the best outcomes, basically. These are, the final point is, I'm not looking to judge or offend. Seriously, I don't know you. I'm not looking to just shit on you for no reason. This presentation is purely me trying to help. It's a culmination of my opinions, my experiences, other people's experiences, scientific research, and is quite heavily inspired by Dr. Andrew Huberman, who is an associate professor of neurobiology at Stanford University School of Medicine. The guy on the right, he actually has a podcast, Huberman Lab. So if you're interested in any kind of like health, optimization of your health, your sleep, etc., anything, this guy is incredible to listen to. So, just go and scroll through his backlog of podcast and you will find something that you find quite interesting. And of course, he's a science guy. So, everything he says is backed up by research. He's a very well-meaning, honest guy, and I love him very much. So a lot of this presentation is going to be based on his work. Let's move on. So, the very first one, strong body is absolutely a strong mind. There is nothing more unfortunate than seeing like the traditional idea of like the successful businessman who's really fat. Okay, this is so terrible and quite saddening when I see that, because I think this guy could have achieved so much more if he took care of himself. Okay, it's unbelievable that when you exercise, you realize how unbelievably connected your mental performance is to your physical performance. When your body looks and feels good, your mind works better. It's incredible. So everybody looks, feels, and works better when they exercise consistently. So that's going to be minimum 3 times a week. Okay. that is going to be a mixture of weightlifting. And the second point here that I'm making here is, ladies, you will not blow up to the size of a bodybuilder if you touch a weight. Gyms are filled with women, okay? It's about 50-50 men and women in the gym. Everybody enjoys it. Go and talk to any kind of gym, any kind of woman of any age. They're all in the gym. They're all having a great time. They all look great. They all feel great. So you will not blow up to the size of the guy on the right as soon as you touch a weight. And everybody will benefit from exercise, consistent exercise. And the final point is you need to balance cardio and weight training. So they both do their own thing. You know, we've all seen those, like the photos of the runners, people who have just completed a marathon, and they look really frail and they look really thin. People who run a lot and exclusively run are actually, they're really frail, and you could probably pick them up and break them in half. People who exclusively weight train end up becoming like the bodybuilder, you know, they look like the Michelin man and they can't really move too good. So if you want to optimize your health, you need to do both. Okay, don't just go, oh, well, I enjoy running, so I'm never going to lift a weight, or I enjoy weight training, so I'm just going to be stiff as a board. You need to do both. There's massive benefits to doing both. I could blab on about how useful exercise is until the end of time. Really, I want you to take everything I'm saying in this presentation as like, okay, I'll actually give it a go. And I mean, give it a go for a few months before you decide to you make any kind of decision off of it. Because the reality of going to the gym is you probably won't enjoy it too much for the first month or two. You'll be a bit confused. You won't know what's what. You won't know what to do. You'll probably hurt yourself a little bit. But just keep going at it for a few months and you will enjoy it. Diet. Okay, so this is, you know, apologies if I get slightly conspiratorial, but I used to have terrible acne. I used to have terrible ADHD. I had all of these problems that so many people suffer from. And I chose to fix my diet, okay? I chose to eat less hyper-processed foods, less of, you know, the McDonald's-y type of ready stuff that you can just throw into the oven. I understand it's convenient, but it's terrible for your health. Everybody acknowledges this, but for some reason we're not doing anything about it. But yeah, the reason the skincare industry exists is because people eat dairy and sugar. Okay, if you cut dairy and sugar, you'll have perfect skin. The reason the healthcare industry exists, I mean, think about one of the problems that the vast majority of people suffer from in this day and age. It's like diabetes, you know, various cancers are caused by being unhealthy and just eating crappy foods. Things like ADHD and autism and these kinds of problems that a lot of, you know, children and even adults suffer from, you are helped massively by going and fixing your diet. So, you know, the second point here, that in the middle of the screen, most things in life can be at the very least helped by improving your diet. You will think clearer. You will feel better. You will have fewer depressive symptoms. You will have fewer ADHD symptoms, fewer anxiety symptoms, fewer, you know, you'll clear your brain fog by eating cleaner. Okay, and what do I mean by eating clean? So the simplest way of thinking about eating clean is you want to go into the supermarket and you want to buy ingredients. Okay, like really you just need to think about ingredients. So not like a ready meal, but as in like, what can I create a meal out of? Well, I bought carrots, that's an ingredient. I bought some meat, that's an ingredient. And I bought some white rice. Stay away from brown rice. That stuff's not actually good for you. And then you just combine it into one meal, and like, there we are. You got the meat, you got the vegetable, and you got the carb. Perfect. That's an absolutely perfect meal. So really try and break down what you're eating into like meals built up from like fundamental ingredients, rather than, you know, go and find me an ingredients list on like a ready meal. what is this stuff? You know, it's obviously not healthy for you, right? Why is the ingredients list like that big? Anyway, the next thing is carb consumption, sugar consumption. There are some people out there in this whole like health optimization space that are absolutely anti-carbohydrates. And I'm 50-50 on carbs. So unless you're doing keto, your body gets its energy from carb consumption. So, you know, if you're going to the gym to lift weights or you go for a run or something like that, the best thing you can do is have some carbs. Have a rice cake, have a banana, whatever, because our body creates energy from the carbohydrates, right? Don't be one of these, you know, anti-carb people. The thing is, I can understand that. You know, if I have a bowl of pasta or something like that, I will fall asleep. I feel unbelievably tired after eating a bowl of pasta. So, you know, I can't really blame people for being against it. It's just that, like I said, that's where your body gets its energy from. So don't go ahead and completely cut out carbs. As far as sugar consumption, I would say we're consuming probably about 10 times as much sugar as we should be. And that goes for everybody. So, you know, people are consuming sugar like multiple times a day. I've really cut myself down to maybe 2 or 3 times a week at very most. So you just don't eat sugar. You know, it's one of the most effective, levers you can pull on improving your diet. Cut out sugar. And the interesting thing about sugar is the reason you actually crave sugar is because you're consuming sugar. So it's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy where if you eat sugar, you actually end up wanting more sugar. So if you just cut it, you won't want it as much. And the final point is insulin resistance. So, you know, if you eat a bunch of food, you eat a bunch of high glycemic food that goes and causes your blood sugar to raise, your body becomes insulin resistant. And insulin resistance is actually known as type 3 diabetes. So, you know, if you have a terrible diet, then you've actually given yourself diabetes. It's incredible to me that there are so many people who are eating themselves to the point of, you know, having diabetes, which, you know, it has, obviously, I don't need to explain to people how terrible having, you know, diabetes or obesity or anything like that is. Just, come on, cut the Haribos, you know, cut the biscuits or cookies or whatever you're eating. It's just not worth it. It literally is not worth it. Cut the sugar, and that's basically the biggest lever that you can pull. And finally, as far as, you know, the kinds of everyone's selling all these fad diets, I don't buy into any of that stuff. The best diet is one that you can maintain forever. So, you know, if you're finding that, you know, oh, it's hard to stick to this diet, then give it a few more months, you know, give it a few more weeks to months. And if it's too impossible, then you've probably found a diet that you can't really maintain. So the best diet is one that you stick by forever. Sleep is the longest lever. What do I mean by that? That is, if you are going to ignore everything in this presentation, if you're going to ignore everything except for one, it's this slide. Do not ignore this slide. If you're thinking, Dylan, you idiot, I'm going to keep eating sugar, I'm going to get a mallet and I'm going to hit myself over the head and there's nothing you can do about it. Okay, cool. Just ignore everything else I said. Fix your sleep. So, I was watching, it was some kind of interview where this guy was talking about how, like, it's almost fashionable. It used to be fashionable to be like unhealthy. Okay. So, you know, if you were a guy in like the 2000s, it was cool to be the guy who slept 3 hours a night, had like 3 Monster Energy drinks, you know, drank half a liter of whiskey, ate, you know, 1 meal a day. It just, like, all these terrible choices towards your health. Fortunately, we're at a point where it's actually cool to be healthy now, which is really interesting how there's almost like it's fashionable like the fashion towards health changes. And in this focus on, fashionable, healthy choices, there's been a focus on sleep, particularly by a guy called, I think it's Matthew Walker. He wrote a book called Why We Sleep. You can read the book if you want. It's quite interesting. I believe he was interviewed on a few podcasts. But yeah, I think he scared a lot of people into getting better sleep, which is great. He was talking about how if you sleep 6 hours or less a night, you basically, nobody can operate on less than 6 hours of sleep a night, which is absolutely the case. So on the right of your screen, you can see this is a screenshot from my Whoop band, which is it's an activity tracker. I'm not encouraging you to buy one of these. I mean, you can. There's other ones. I believe Apple Watches can do sleep tracking. They're meant to be pretty decent at sleep tracking now. There's an Aura ring. It's a very, very passive ring that you wear just when you're sleeping. So, I mean, you don't need any of this stuff. Obviously, we can all kind of judge how we slept the night prior. But it might be worth it. You get a lot of very good data from looking at these. So as you can see, last night I slept really good. I got 7.5 hours of sleep. I got 3 hours of restorative sleep. So you can see that I got, I was awake for 1 hour. I got 4 and a bit hours of light sleep. I got an hour and a half of deep sleep and a bit of, REM sleep and stuff like that. And, down here, it's a little bit off the screen, but it'll actually show you these kinds of metrics like sleep efficiency. So a lot of people make the mistake of thinking that 10 hours, if I go to bed at midnight and I wake up at 8 a.m., I've got 8 hours of sleep. That's not correct. Absolutely not. If you want to get 8 hours of sleep, you need to allocate about 10 hours in bed, because everyone has a sleep efficiency where you will just be rolling around in bed. You'll wake up in the middle of the night. As you can see, here, like I said, I had this is a good night of sleep for me, but I spent an hour of that night awake. Okay. So, if you go to bed at midnight and you wake up at 8 a.m., that's probably like 6 and a bit hours of sleep that you got. So, just keep that in mind. Time in bed is not time spent sleeping. You spend a lot of time kicking about. That's one of the best things about these sleep trackers, that it will just give you a hard number at the end of the night where you're like, well, I spent 12 hours in bed, but I only got 6 hours of sleep. That's actually a lot more common, unfortunately, than a lot of people expect it to be. So the third bullet point, bedtimes are not for children. We all need consistent sleep-wake cycles, including weekends. Your body does not know the difference between weekdays and weekends. Okay, you need to find a sleep schedule that can work for you every single day for the rest of your life. For me, what happens to work pretty good is I go to bed at 10 p.m. and I wake up anywhere between 7 and 8 a.m. So, that gets me about 7.5 hours of sleep, which I find that I work really good on. So, just keep in mind that we've all heard all these things about, everyone needs 8 hours of sleep. If you're an adult, you'll probably be fine, anywhere from 7 to 9 hours. So, you'll be somewhere there, but realistically, the vast majority of people need more than 6.5 hours of sleep. If you're getting consistently less than 6.5 hours, you're not sleeping enough. I would even push that up to 7. If you're getting consistently less than 7 hours of sleep a night, you are not sleeping enough. Okay, point 4, we've already established that. So, you need to consider sleep stages and quality. You might spend a bunch of time awake. You might spend a bunch of time in light sleep, which is not, it doesn't restore your body and mind. The simplest way of understanding these sleep stages are your light sleep is important, your deep sleep is what restores your mind, and your REM sleep is what restores your body. So if you wake up and you feel really mentally sharp, but your body doesn't feel very good, a good rule of thumb is that you probably slept enough. Okay, so enough light sleep. You got, an okay amount of deep sleep, but you didn't get enough REM sleep. So, there might be a point where you wake up and your body feels really good, but your mind feels quite cloudy. You may have lacked on deep sleep that night. So it's really interesting to, break down these sleep stages and understand what each one of them do. So supplementation, this was really useful for me. So I've already talked about Dr. Andrew Huberman. He recommends what people have called the Huberman stack. So you can go on Google and search up Dr. Huberman stack. And it's basically magnesium. Most people are deficient in magnesium. Buy a high quality kind of magnesium. It's a muscle relaxant. It helps me get to sleep. It actually increases my deep sleep quite consistently. Apigenin is an extract of chamomile tea. So instead of, taking apigenin, you can have chamomile tea if you want. Then there's L-theanine, which is an extract of green tea. And the thing is, you might think, oh, green tea, that wakes you up. Well, L-theanine's the kind of chill out part of it. Green tea is a mixture of, it's caffeine and L-theanine. And that's actually why green tea is so good at making you focus, is because of the L-theanine. That's the actual, calm, chill out part of green tea. So, L-theanine, if you take it, it's a relaxant. It's an anti-anxiety. It's really good. It's really good. So taking those three, an hour or two before bed has helped me so much. Just do research into the Huberman stack. This has been so helpful for me. So the next point, there's all the basics that everybody knows of, cut the caffeine. I've found that I'm particularly sensitive to caffeine. I mean, I'll have a shit ton of coffee. Okay? I used to have so much caffeine throughout the day, but now my limit is midday. So I'll have basically as much coffee, caffeine, whatever, as I want prior to midday. But after midday, I will not have any caffeine whatsoever. And that has really, really helped my sleep. So, my mom will have a coffee at 6 p.m. and she'll wonder why her sleep's so bad. That's obviously one of the worst things you can do. Cut the caffeine, or at the very least, move it much earlier into the day. Another thing to keep in mind with your caffeine consumption is give it an hour, give it 60 to 90 minutes after you wake up before you consume any kind of caffeine. This is another thing that Andrew Huberman has talked about. But it basically, when you wake up, your body goes through its natural cortisol response in the morning. So, and if you immediately wake up and have a coffee, it will actually dull down your body's natural cortisol response, which leads to the midday slump. So if you wake up and you have caffeine, you have coffee or energy drink, whatever, 2 hours after waking up, between waking up and 2 hours, you will have the midday slump. I wait 2 hours until after I've woken up now to have caffeine, and I don't have any kind of midday slump. So I don't feel the need to reconsume caffeine in the midday. Cool dark room, that's a pretty obvious one. If you got all these lights around your room, put tape over them, make sure it's cool. Something that was so helpful for me is a mattress cooler. These things are really picking up popularity nowadays. I was quite fortunate that I managed to buy one on sale. So I got a killer deal on one of these, but they range anywhere from like $300 to like $3,000 if you want the really fancy stuff. I got mine for $200 because it was on sale. But basically, it's like a machine that sits at the side of your bed, and you put a mattress topper, and it has a bunch of tubes that run between you and your mattress, and you can set the temperature that you want it. So if you find that you're too warm, you can get it to cool you down, and it will maintain that temperature. And something that's especially nice is in the morning, I don't wake up to an alarm anymore. I wake up to a warm mattress. I have it. It's like it's mean to wake or something like that, where I'm not jarred awake by my alarm, which, puts you in a groggy mood for the rest of the day. I'm slowly warmed awake. So I'll just wake up to a really warm bed, and it's bliss. It's incredible. So the mattress coolers are incredible. So, consider that, especially, if you're a bigger guy. I'm kind of I'm 200 pounds. I'm 6 foot. I'm a pretty big guy. I would say women will probably benefit from this because, like I said, it's not necessarily, warming or cooling. It's both. You can set it to whatever temperature you find is the most comfortable for you, and it will just maintain that temperature. So, I think everyone will benefit from at least looking into something like this. It's so incredible. I will blab on about my mattress cooler forever, all right? And the final point is, it's the same thing with the diet. The best sleep schedule is one that you can maintain forever. Okay, you need to go to bed at the same time and wake up at the exact same time every single day. Obviously, I'm not a Nazi as far as this is concerned. Just life gets in the way, right? You're going to have a night where you're at a party. You're going to have a night where you're at friends, or you have late dinner, or, the kids are awake, something like that, right? But the best thing you can do is have a consistent time you go to bed and a consistent time you wake up forever. Okay, that's what we want to. That's the perfect life. Did I skip one? No. Okay, social connection. And this might be quite surprising considering I like to be excited and extroverted and everything when I'm presenting, but I'm actually quite an introverted person. I'm more than happy to sit by myself and not see a single person for like a month. Okay, I'll have no problem just being locked in my house for like a month. The thing is, we all need social connection. It's one of the most fundamental parts of the mental health puzzle. Okay, there's all these different parts that contribute to our mental health, but social connection is incredibly important. The thing is that, I've gone ahead and added in the asterisk saying, just make sure it's positive. Not all social connection is equal. Obviously, don't spend time with people that sap energy from you. I've talked about cutting off crabs, not the kind of pubic types. I'm talking about people who are crabs in the sense that there's this saying of like crabs in a bucket, where if you have a bucket and you fill it up with crabs, if there's one crab that's just about starting to crawl out the bucket, the other crabs will actually grab that one and pull it back in. And that's an incredible analogy for people who are getting their life together. Unfortunately, we all have crabs in our lives. People who, see you starting to get your life together, build a business, start to become healthy, yada, yada, and they'll just grab you and they'll pull you back into the bucket. So you need to spot crabs and you need to pull them straight back. You need to avoid them. Just avoid them like the plague. So social connection is important. Avoid crabs. I would say that if your choice is between being alone and being with crabs, choose being alone every single time, okay? Because at least you're not making negative progress. Getting into the flow state. Flow is a very interesting concept to talk about. So what is flow state? I love the chart on the right. So as you can see, if something is incredibly challenging, then you will feel anxious, okay? But if something isn't challenging and you're highly skilled at it, you'll feel bored. So flow is balancing your skill and how challenging something is. So we want to find work that challenges us to the level that our skill can just about keep up with it. So the emotions we want to go for are work that we find fun, work that we find joyous, work that makes us energized, a work that makes us grow. Okay, we need to find things that make us grow as people. People feel the happiest, most fulfilled, and time flies past the fastest when we are in a flow state. That's what a flow state is. When you look down at the work you're doing and you're like, okay, so it's 9 a.m. You look up at the clock, and you're like, okay, 9 a.m. You look down at your laptop, you look back up at the clock, and it's like midday. Where did the time go? disappeared. It disappeared because you are in a flow state. That is what we want to go for. The unfortunate reality of the matter is the very last time most people have experienced a flow state is when we were children, or potentially if you were an adult playing with children. So, the last time I remember this is my sister has just had a son, and I played with my nephew, and you kind of you have to like go into that kind of childhood joy part to play with children, right? And you have to, like, we will kind of get into a flow state when we're playing with kids, or when we were kids and playing. The thing is, what we need to do is we need to find this childlike wonder in the work that we do, okay? Because when you find work that puts you into a flow state, it doesn't feel like work. There's this saying, I might be paraphrasing it slightly, where, the work that you enjoy is not work at all, or something like that. That's what we want to go for. The work that you become the most successful, the happiest, the most fulfilled, and the most effective, most importantly in it, is the work that puts us into a flow state. So chase flow, okay? You need to balance challenge with your skill. And you need to constantly things are getting easy. Okay, you got to make it harder. Things are too hard. Well, you got to improve your skill a little bit. But you got to constantly balance these two, so you end up in that midpoint in the grass where you're in flow state. Hitting yourself over the head. This is a thing that I find quite interesting. A lot of people do. You might not know what I'm talking about, but I'm going to try my best to explain it. But like in the fitness space, people will go ahead and celebrate sticking to their diet by having a cheat day where they eat 10,000 calories. And now, I'm not averse to cheat days, obviously not. The thing is, it's important to balance your cheat day with not being an idiot. Okay, if you go ahead and undo all the progress you've made in an attempt to celebrate the progress you've made, then you're just back at square one. If, you've gone ahead and lost so much weight throughout the week, and then you're like, well, I deserve a cheat day now, and you just gain all that weight back, you just hit yourself over the head, right? Another equivalent that I'm talking about here is like, you've passed an exam, congratulations, you're smart, so you take a hammer and you hit yourself over the head with the hammer to celebrate doing well in the exam. Don't undo the progress you've made in an attempt to celebrate the progress, okay? Like I said, I'm not averse to celebrating. Just don't be a dummy about it. If you're going to have a cheat day, but you're a little bit crazy, maybe have a cheat meal, okay? Where you can eat whatever you want for one meal instead of for a full day. So there's a lot less wrong that you can do in one meal than an entire day. This I deserve this. Whenever you're thinking about this, I deserve this type of mentality, maybe congratulations on working very hard. It's just that don't go ahead and reset all the work you've done, right? I had a friend who, he would work really hard. He's like a work hard, play hard type of guy. Would work hard, all throughout the week. And then he'd just go and get super drunk on the weekend. And then like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, he'd have a hangover and he wouldn't go to work again. So, he's gone ahead and he's like given himself alcohol-induced brain damage as a way of celebrating his successes. So just be careful of that. Be wary of that. Don't hit yourself over the head. Ever, really. I wouldn't recommend hitting yourself over the head with a hammer. Dylan, top tip, don't hit yourself with a hammer. Education. I'm a very big fan of education. Obviously, the fact that you're listening to this, congratulations. But I think of myself as a lifelong student. I will be learning until the day I die. Education does not stop when you leave school. So many people just think about learning in terms of like, well, I'm 30 now, so I haven't got to learn anything ever again. No. You have to learn forever. Okay, we all unfortunately know some of these old people who had left work, they retired work, and their brain turned into pudding because they're not applying themselves to anything. That's because they're not. When you don't use it, you lose it. It's absolutely the case with your brain. So just focus on education. Okay, it's going and improving your skills, going and improving your brain is only ever going to be a good thing. And like I said, be a lifelong student. Learning is a forever activity. It's not just the first 22 or whatever years of your life, and then you leave school and it's, you're done with learning. Do it forever. Constantly read, constantly learn, always watch documentaries, do all the stuff to learn new things. I don't care if you're 70 years old, you need to be a student. MISC. These are just a kind of, I didn't want to put them into their own slide because I'm going to go over them pretty quick. Supplements. What are my opinions on supplements? Maybe take supplements. For the most part, they're crap. Things like multivitamins, you're probably not going to benefit from them. The things that are actually useful, creatine is great for the gym, but it's great for mental performance as well. It's unbelievably well studied. It's very safe. It's an absolute staple of the fitness community. I genuinely believe everybody should be taking creatine. Age, gender, does not matter. Even if you don't lift weights, you should be taking creatine. It helps with mental performance. Vitamin D, I live in the UK. There is no sun here most of the year. Okay. Most people have a vitamin D deficiency, particularly if you have a darker skin tone. Okay. You have, like a lot of South Asian immigration, to the UK. And what ends up happening is the darker your skin is, say you're black, say you're Pakistani, etc. The darker your skin is, the less light your skin actually absorbs. And especially if you live in a country like the UK where there's, very little sun already, you will be deficient in vitamin D. So everybody will probably benefit from taking vitamin D. And it's so helpful for mood, for brain clarity, etc. All this kind of stuff. Most people would benefit from taking vitamin D. Fish oil, if you're going to buy fish oil, make sure it's a very high quality one. The one I use is Nordic Naturals. It's quite expensive, but this is one of those things that you don't want to cheap out on. Most fish oils are rancid. Okay, by the time you get them in your cupboard, they will have gone bad and they will be poisoning you. So just be wary of that. Don't take the cheap stuff. Fish oil is incredible, particularly for mental health conditions. So, if you're someone who you find you have, depressive symptoms, anxiety symptoms, taking a high quality fish oil every single day, as well as vitamin D, will help you massively, along with exercise and diet and etc. I think there was a study somewhere released saying that, consistent exercise is like 2.5 times more effective, 2.5 times more effective of an antidepressant than the actual antidepressant pills that everybody is taking. So, before you take any kind of pharmaceuticals, you should be covering all of these. Sleep good, eat good. My brain's drawing a blank. Everything I've already said in this presentation, cover all those bases. If you still feel like shit, then, go down the pharmaceutical route, but really you just, cover all these bases first. Exercise is such an unbelievably effective antidepressant. It's incredible. Fad diets. So I'm going to include veganism in here. Don't get mad at me. But the thing is, I think the vast majority of vegans apply veganism incorrectly. I think you can be a healthy vegan. It's just that 95% of vegans are going down the lazy route where, instead of eating the regular Big Mac, they'll eat the vegan Big Mac. And for whatever reason, they'll convince themselves that it's the healthy choice. Just because it says vegan on it doesn't mean it's healthy, okay? In fact, if anything, what the hell are they putting into a vegan burger? You think that's healthier than just some beef? I wouldn't say so. So, I'm not averse to this, like potentially give it a go, maybe give keto a go, maybe give carnivore a go. For the vast majority of people, these kinds of diets, you probably won't benefit from them. So, just do the thing that I can probably say is fat has been villainized. Fat is actually good for you. Eat healthy fats, none of that like processed seed oil crap, like animal fats, so butter, ghee. Oh, I've got a thumbs up. I don't know, I think I can go like that as well. I remember my girlfriend showing me sorry, I'm getting distracted, but eat fats, eat olive oil, high quality fats are really good for you. Stay away from sugar. The sugar industry villainized fat in an attempt to throw people's attention off of the effects and the negative effects towards the health of sugar. Okay, this is a well-established fact. Fat is good for you. Stay away from the hyper-processed fats. Okay, eat natural fats, animal fats, olive oils, avocado oils, the good stuff. All right, and stay away from sugar. All right. Addictive behaviors, these things do not belong in the lifestyle of any kind of effective person. Alcohol, porn, drugs, heavy pharmaceuticals, cigarettes, vaping, cut them all out, or at least to the best of your abilities. You might think, oh, well, I know a guy who's successful and he drinks and he smokes weed. Well, think about how much more effective he'd be if he didn't. Okay, these things, there's a reason they ruin lives. They're terribly addictive. They're terrible for your health. People waste a bunch of time. There's like particularly a terrible porn addiction epidemic in particularly younger men. The amount of time and health and lives that have been ruined and wasted from all of these things. Cut them out. Conclusion, these are the basics. These are the absolute fundamental foundation that you should be building the rest of your life off of. You should do every single one of the things I said in here. Okay, those are not like a pick and choose type of deal. Do all of them. All right. I will not be bursting through your door if you're not perfect. I'm definitely not perfect with this stuff. Okay, so long as you do it 70 to 80% of the time, you're doing good. All right, if you go ahead and apply what I taught you in this presentation, 70 to 80% of the time, you are golden. All right, and the final note that I'm going to be leaving you on, pause it if you wish, but this is a meme format I quite like, which is, it's called the mid-wit meme, where it's making fun of people who, they're not stupid, but they're not smart. They're like average intelligence people. So, the real stupid meatheads lift weights because they're like moving weights, You have the stuck-up mid-wit guy talking about, I'd rather read a poem than exercise. Don't be that guy. There was a reason all the Greek philosophers, every single effective person in the world. Go and look at Jeff Bezos. That guy's jacked. Okay, there's a reason he's in that shape, because it's good. It works for the mind. It works for the body. Strong body is a strong mind. Keep that in mind. Thank you so much for watching this. Please, like I said, go ahead and apply every single one of these at the very best of your abilities. You will improve your life if you apply these to your life.